feels like it's a bit empty if there isn't any dancing. Maybe that's just me.
Whatever, we're live. I'm not rising to it. I'm not taking this bait.
All right.
This is that white oppression I keep hearing about. Like, oh, come on, dance, show us you can't.
True to form, Zane finds a way out of it.
Yeah,
that's right. The show already started. Next time.
No, it's just it's my racial handicap.
Oh wow. Well, all
right. Anyway, we're here to talk about Bellator 197 and make me feel terribly awkward. Michael Chandler, Brandon Girtz, coming at you this Friday in St. Charles, Missouri, on Paramount Network, now no longer Spike TV. And it's a good main card without really much of an undercard. We were talking about it going in. Like, there's a couple of things on the undercard worth noting that we'll breeze past in a second here, but the main card is really all the meat of this.
The meat and the potatoes, really.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple people on the undercard. You got Derek Anderson out there.
Yeah, well, like I said, okay, I'll just dive into it, and we'll dive into it because you guys aren't talking, and I'm not just going to carry the silence. But yeah, Derek Anderson, who we were all talking about. A little surprised to see him way down on the prelims for this fight. At one point, kind of a major upset get for Bellator came out of Explode, just a complete can crusher. Nobody. Beat Patricky Freire in his Bellator debut, beat Brandon Girtz, who's headlining this card, lost to Marcin Held and Brent Primus, but beat Freire again and Sada Wad, and then lost to Derek Campos and is now buried again. But that's kind of the Bellator way. If they didn't bring you in with the intention of you being a star, then you're never really going to get consistently treated like one, and thus no matter how well you do.
Yeah. And this really is a buffer fight for Anderson to move up to welterweight because he struggled with making 155 in the past. So
yeah, maybe it's time he stopped trying to do that. Also, former Uriah Hall tough murder victim Adam Sella is on the card. The dude who is single-handedly responsible for furthering the myth that, or putting out and creating the myth that Uriah Hall could be the next Anderson Silva. Adam Sella's chin is entirely responsible for that. And nobody's fucking saying, like, Kyle Kurtz could be the next Shinya Aoki or Jake Shields, and he submitted Sella twice, so I don't really get the whole, like, I don't understand how beating Sella was supposed to be the...
Well, it's just the fact that it was a spinning kick that we never.
I know. I'm just being an asshole.
Every legend.
Way to fame, though. Like, what are you known for? What's your biggest moment in MMA?
Getting fucking posterized. That's not. Yeah.
Then we got a women's flyweight prospect of sorts bout. Juliana Vasquez, Brazilian jiu-jitsu competitor turned Team Nogueira member turned to MMA. 6-0. She's taking on Rebecca Ruth, who's sort of a late career starting scrappy fighter who's had some upset wins for Bellator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be pretty scrappy. I couldn't tell you how it's going to play out, but I expect Ruth to kind of try to bully her way through this.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And former UFC flyweight Josh Sampo makes his first fight since leaving the UFC in 2015. Had a battle with pneumonia, apparently, and had to take some time off, but he's coming back at 135 against Dominic Mazzota. And those are our prelims. Everything else is totally ignorable. Nothing you need to care about. Mostly seems like it's Shamrock FC filling the undercard of this.
Nothing to see here, people. Keep it moving.
So let's jump right into the main card then, and a welterweight bout. Logan Storley versus Joaquin Buckley. And Eddie, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually pretty hyped on this one here. Logan Storley, 7-0 undefeated, 2-0 in Bellator, four-time All-American wrestler from the University of Minnesota, Brock Lesnar's alma mater. 119 wrestling wins. So like this dude is really could be something. And I don't usually pick against NCAA All-American wrestlers until they give me a reason. And this guy has given me no reason whatsoever to pick against him. I've seen a couple of his fights. He's got really nice leg kicks. Like he's down to scrap it out on the feet, which I love to see from wrestlers. And he always has the grappling in his back pocket. So I'm super high on Storley. I think the sky's the limit. I don't know what Chris Honeycutt's doing, but that's the fight I need to see. Joaquin Buckley, is that how you say it? Joaquin?
Yeah.
He's actually got a pretty damn good record himself. He's 8-1, 3-1 with Bellator. Really athletic, an explosive striker. Can be a bit wild on his feet. We saw him get knocked out in his Israel bout with Bellator. So I think he's wild enough for Storley to have minimal issues getting this fight to the ground. Storley for the W.
All right. Honeycutt, just for information, it was last seen losing to Rafael Lovato Jr. at Bellator 189.
Oh, that's right. Didn't Lovato like kick him in the head early or something?
Yeah, people keep thinking he's just a jiu-jitsu guy. Keep telling you guys. Oh, boy.
Odds on that fight. Let's see.
Well, Vic, do you have anything to say about this fight?
Vic, yeah. No, let's hear what Vic has to say.
Oh, okay. I thought we were doing the odds first. No, that's fine.
No.
Yeah. So the thing
Mr. Martinez, speak up.
Are there odds on what Vic's going to say about this fight?
There we go. Buckley is a guy who's had a much more of a heavy hitter, I guess, kind of trajectory in his career. And he's been doing some pretty serious work out in the Midwest. I think this is really going to be a test for both opponents, but mostly, obviously, for Storley, whether or not he's going to be able to avoid damage or deal with damage coming in. I do trust his athleticism and his technique to be enough for him to be able to do it, as long as he's not trying to show off too much on the feet. What's really going to be tested, obviously, is going to be his striking defense. But as for Buckley, though, he might be able to put something on his chin, whether it's an uppercut or something like that, or being able to stall against the cage to fend off takedowns. I don't think it's really that I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that there could be an upset on this. I'm not banking on it, but it is very, very possible. So I'm going to go with Storley on this one, but it's not going to be easy.
I think it might be kind of
picking what,
because I just feel like in his last fight, Storley fought Matt Secor, who is every bit of a veteran, if not more of a veteran than Buckley is, and he had absolutely no issues with Secor. So I think this is going to be a stomping.
All right. Odds agree with you. Reasonably. Storley came in at opened at minus 190, took a hard dive down to minus 585, and he jumped up a little bit to minus 367 and has jumped up a little more to minus 313. These odds only opened like today.
Who is handicapping this shit? This is amazing.
The odds have definitely, either different lines opening at different levels. That may be all we're seeing so far, but we're definitely, we saw, like I say, 190 down to 585, even it out at closer to minus 300 at the moment. Buckley opened at plus 150, adjusted up to plus 415, and is currently at plus 260. So dropping
I'm okay
back
with
down.
The way they are now.
Yeah,
absolutely. Storley, like I said, until he shows me holes, like I can't pick against this guy or have
phrasing. Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
What's phrasing?
You got to show a few holes to Eddie, and then we'll know. We'll know everything.
Well, like for Chris Honeycutt, for example, like he showed me some holes, and I jumped off the bandwagon at the right time.
Yeah, there you go. Eddie knows what to do with the hole when he sees it.
Oh, yeah. I definitely know what to do with the hole. You've been talking. Never mind. Someone's been telling stories again, I see.
Oh, my God.
Big Daddy Zane.
Oh, geez.
That takes us to a 160-pound catchweight bout between Baby Slice Kevin Ferguson Jr. and Devon Brock. Vic, talk about it.
Yeah, man. Listen, Ferguson is still really, really raw, and Brock is too, because he's, you're talking about a guy who still has, they're both comparable in terms of experience. They're not people that have had like 14, 15 fights, anything like that. So I don't know, man. as dynamic a striker as Ferguson we wish he could be. One moment, please. I don't really see it happening, man. I don't really see him styling on him. I think this is just going to be another one of those wily, ugly fights. So I'm going to go with Brock. You know, he lasted 3 rounds with a Gracie. He didn't really seem like he was in too much trouble. I mean, I don't think there's really too much standing out for either one of these guys right now. So I'm going to go with Brock here.
All right.
It sounds like Vic's housekeeping has showed up.
That's right.
This is going to be that episode, isn't it? This is great. I love this.
You want fresh pillow?
You want fresh towel?
You want fresh
dress
towel?
you up? Oh man, fat guy in a little coat. All right.
Okay.
Oh, I love you guys, by the way.
Oh. Now, are you feeling the love for Baby Slice any more than Vic was, Eddie?
Man, here's my issue with Baby Slice. He only had 1 amateur fight. Brock went 5-0 as an Ammy. So basically, Ferguson has to get all of his experience under the bright lights. And that's not easy to do. Like, you really have to be exceptional in the case of AJ McKee, or you have to really be fed some subpar opponents. And that's kind of the case for Baby Slice. He's been fighting nothing but scrubs up until this point. Granted, he did make short work of his past 2 opponents, but, you know, Fred Freeman, 3-6 Ammy record, 1-0 when they fought, with his only that 1 win being an injury. So, like, not even a real pro fight. Before that, DJ Griffin, 1-2 as an amateur before getting the call to turn pro to face Baby Slice. So I don't know. I don't have as much faith in Baby Slice as maybe the mainstream media might, just because of the name association. And Brock, like Vic said, he grappled with Gracie and like stayed off his back the whole time and remained safe while he was on top, even landed some decent ground and pound. I think Brock might be on the Legends Offspring Killer Tour. So I'm going to pick Devin Brock here. But again, these guys are super young in their career. It's basically a coin flip. But I have more reason to doubt Baby Slice than I do against someone I've never seen lose in Devin Brock. So I'm going Devin Brock.
That may be a good position for an underdog bet then, because Baby Slice is still a pretty big favorite, having just opened at -260, adjusted briefly up to -182, and is currently at -247.
Yeah. I can't co-sign on betting on guys so young in their career.
Probably not. I'm just saying that if you've got 2 guys that are young in their careers and one of them's a big favorite for no real reason, you know, I don't know.
There's not
gambler. If gambling is your thing,
if you're a gambler and gambling is your thing, then you got problems. But we don't have solutions.
Yeah.
What do we do? There's an 800 number at all of our betting odds.
This is true.
That's true.
All right. And Devin Brock opened at +180, adjusted down to +148, and is back up to +199. So wider odds than makes sense for a fighter who, in Baby Slice, who has still yet to show anything of real substance.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people just probably think it's Kimbo out there. Like, wow. No, they don't know the difference. They hear, oh, Slice is fighting? Okay.
Yeah. No, they're going to be like, ooh, Kimbo's son, he must be a killer just like his dad. Like, and you know, the thing is, though, a win or a loss for either one of these guys doesn't really say much right now. So I don't know.
All right, that brings us to our co-main event. And as we were talking about, an actual top prospect out there in Bellator, a homegrown star for the promotion, AJ McKee Jr. taking on former tough competitor Justin Lawrence. And Eddie, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Justin Lawrence has kind of gone down that Derek Anderson route. He's another guy that has been pushed away onto the prelims following some inconsistencies. He didn't, he kind of alternated a couple of wins and losses there. Went down to the prelims, got a couple wins back under his belt. Now he's sitting at 11-4, which is a lot more marketable record. The guys he faced, whatever. They're not like super talented or anywhere close to the caliber that he has faced in the past. And Lawrence is one of those guys where whenever he's presented with the opportunity to take that step up and reach the next level, those name opponents have always gotten the better of him. So much so that I think it's fair to say that his best win is over James Krause on the Tough 15 show back in 2012. And since then, he hasn't beat anybody with a name, which is why I feel like this is the perfect test for AJ McKee here. Because if McKee wins, then obviously he's legit and for real. And if he loses, well, obviously he's not ready to compete at the top and be a contender just yet. So I think this is an excellent test for AJ McKee, who, by the way, has some incredible instincts. Like his just natural muscle memory is really phenomenal and fun to watch. You know, they're just basic life movements that he's just been doing forever. So he's not really thinking too much while he's out there. So like AJ's first test was facing up and comers as well. And I think he did pretty well against those. And then his second test for me was when he faced Blair Tugman. He was a veteran that he couldn't just come out and blitz, someone who would potentially pose a wrestling threat, even though he didn't. And he did pretty well there. His last fight, I feel like everyone was aware of the way AJ McKee defends. He's very loose, kind of, you know, lackadaisical at times, really relying on his height, his stature, his athleticism to kind of move his head out of the way or lean back. You know, his punches don't exactly come all the way back to his face after he strikes. So there's holes there, and everyone knows that, and everyone's been saying that. And so he fights Brian Moore, who is down to throw his hands. So Brian Moore came forward, threw his hands, hurt McKee, and really McKee lost that second round. So it made McKee dig deep and pull out a win, not come from behind, because McKee won that first round. He dropped him with the beautiful check hook. So, but it was nice.
He went
to
through
see
some adversity.
Yes, he some real adversity. Like we've seen him get cut in the past, which was kind of adversity, but this is like, yo, you got your ass whooped that second round. What are you going to do about it? And he came out and he dropped Moore, took his back and choked him out. And it's like, okay, now I'm ready to see this guy take the next lead. So, you know, the Moore fight was tough, sure. And I think the Lawrence fight is going to be tough also. But I don't think Lawrence is enough of a puncher to make McKee pay in the same way that Moore did, let alone for 3 rounds. So I'm definitely picking AJ McKee here. And how it's going to happen, I'm not really sure, but I think it's going to be a decision because Lawrence is tough. Like, you're not going out there and starching Lawrence. So I think McKee is going to have to fight his most professional fight to date. And I think he'll pick up the decision win. All
right, Vic, your thoughts when your bed's done being made?
I know. It's the life. So when
tell her to be quiet.
My whole situation with this, I have to partially disagree. What the fuck is this? What I have to.
Hey, Vic, real quick, unplug your headphones and I'll tell them if you want.
No, we're not doing that today. No, sorry. So I have to partially disagree here because I think that AJ McKee is going to win. And I think he is going to finish Lawrence, largely by virtue of the fact his cardio is phenomenal. His approach is still very dynamic. It's just a lot of pressure that eventually is going to be enough to break a guy like Lawrence down and, you know, really open itself to having some kind of submission in the end. The thing is that Lawrence, I mean, he's getting a little long in the tooth. As you said, he hasn't really had too many, major opposition, too many major opponents. But it's obviously good because you're taking out someone who has the potential to be a future star in AJ McKee and, who has so many tools. I mean, I don't really see anybody stopping him right now in that division as far as, due to various factors of not, the least of which not being the fact that Bellator isn't really growing that division at all. But he's a bright young prospect for many reasons. He's doing a lot of great things. He's fighting the right way. He's using his accuracy with his striking. He's able to pressure guys on the ground. He's able to get them to be in adverse situations where he can then capitalize and sink in a submission or just continue to strike. I just don't know. I don't know what path to victory Lawrence could really have other than just delay the inevitable and pray for some kind of, scorecard thing going on. But it doesn't seem to me that's it just doesn't look like something that's going to happen. So I'm going to go with AJ McKee. I'm thinking he's probably going to submit him near the end of the second round or something like that.
All right. Odds
Make
on
sure
the
she's
fight.
doing hospital corners, by the way, Vic, if I can interject.
You are so mean. Seriously.
What? I'm looking out for you.
McKee opened at -300. Moved up and down a little. Is currently at -331. Lawrence opening at +220, moving up and down, and is up at +266 right now. So
this is definitely the best caliber opponent that McKee has faced thus far.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, he's been fighting pretty frequently in his young career. I mean, for a guy who's only been doing it for a guy who's only been doing this since 2014 or 15 as a professional, I mean, you know, he's been pretty good with his pace.
Vic, tell your cousin to be quiet. I can say that because it's my cousin too.
Statistically, it's likely that we may be related, so that's actually kind of funny.
Oh man.
Oh God, I can't say that. I'm not allowed to follow that joke.
No, the fuck you not. That's right. That's why I'm enjoying it.
Zane, if you turn any more red, you'll be able to say it. Just keep. Oh, we're getting canceled.
All right. Moving right the fuck along.
Real quick, who's picking in that one, Zane? I'm curious.
Our main event. Michael Chandler.
Who are you picking in that one, Zane? You got a dog in that one?
Oh, for me, AJ McKee, Justin Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I admit I got to go with McKee. I feel like Lawrence has never really been able to solidify his style into something complete. He was always supposed to be this really exciting striker, and as he's tried to become a more complete and well put together fighter, he's sort of been a less exciting striker, so he's just kind of a lesser fighter.
Okay, that's fair. That's real fair.
And at that point, if you're going to secede control to somebody like McKee at this point, I think McKee's got the confidence to go out there and put it on him.
What a perfect opponent for McKee, though. It really is.
Well, you got to credit McKee, too, because honestly, like, in terms of building block opponents, he's really gone and done, like, the very consistent, everybody is a step up record-wise, where, you know, he's going, like, you know, 1-1, 4-0, 1-1, 5-0, 8-4, 8-2, 6-2, 12-1, 10-6, 10-5, 11-4, and like all along the way, the records are getting deeper, the guys are getting more experienced, and all that. And he's 10-0.
He was booked against Henry Corrales and Emmanuel Sanchez at one point, and like those shocked me. I'm like, he's not ready for that. Like, even if he could win, like, now's not the time for that shit. That's some UFC stuff. So,
yeah,
I'm happy with the way
they've got him on a nice, good, consistent build to get him into the point where he's going to be competitive with the top of that division as far as they have it. So,
I'm psyched for this, man.
Yeah. That brings us to our main event. Michael Chandler, Brandon Girtz, 155. And Vic, who you got?
Chandler, but I'm not too happy about it. And what I mean by that is this. I like Michael. I like him a lot. I think he's an absolute gentleman. He's a hell of a fighter, but he's slowing down, man. It's showing. I mean, if the losses to Will Brooks didn't show it, if his inability to check leg kicks in that fight against Primus didn't show it, I don't know what other case to make other than, you know, he's just not. Something doesn't seem like it's.
But he is 5-1 since the Will Brooks loss.
He is, but don't get me wrong. He hasn't really looked as of late. Like, there seem to be pieces missing in his fights. You know, like in each fight, it's like something that's a little different. And I don't know. I don't really know how much longer he's going to really be someone who we can say is truly elite in that division. Now, that still means that he is, you know, definitely the man in Bellator, other than the champion right now. And you know, you have to give him always the benefit of the doubt in fights, and especially a fight like this one. Girtz, wrestler first, everything else second. Tremendous athlete, also a guy with a great gas tank, a lot of tenacity, able to withstand a lot of damage. But I don't know that he can really take the kind of damage that Chandler can give out, especially standing. I mean, he's going to be able to neutralize the wrestling threat for the greater portion of this fight, and then be able to, you know, start working from there to put things the way he wants them, and then work for a finish or just, you know, ride it out if he needs to. This is going to be a 3-round fight, so we don't have to worry about this whole thing 5 rounds and how long that may go. But I don't know. It's another one of those situations like the previous fight we were just discussing. It's like I don't know what other way Girtz could win
right
this.
Now? What's going on, Vic?
Oh, they're not finding me. I don't have the mohawk this time. That's the one thing. Since I've got to the city, it's like there have been sirens nonstop. That's the only thing that I just don't understand. But anyway, yeah, it is a weird thing. I mean, unless Girtz is able to start wearing him down and then use his wrestling to control and then eke out a decision, I don't really know what way he could actually win this. But I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know it's definitely going to be really a back and forth, and there won't be many moments of inactivity with these guys. But it's a rough road for Girtz, man. I got to go with Chandler here, but I don't know that I'm going to be too happy with what's going to happen to Girtz after this.
All right, Eddie.
First of all, go check out my interview with Michael Chandler over at bloodyelbow.com. It's very in-depth and intriguing, and he goes off topic of just fights itself. So go join into the comment section. I'm sure there's something in there for everyone. I'm going to disagree a little bit about Chandler falling off. I feel like since the Brooks loss, he had 3 straight finishes that were absolutely exciting. That knockout on Patricky Pitbull was one for the ages. I will never forget that. Like top 100 knockouts of all time, easily. Might even creep into my top 50. The Brent Premise thing, like he rolled his ankle. Yeah. Shit like that happened.
Yeah, in the end, but he wasn't. He was getting styled on for a bit there prior to.
The fight was 2 minutes and 22 seconds, bro. Like, what do you mean?
For those 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Right. Anyways. Fine. Then he goes out and fights Goiti Yamauchi, who's a top flight lightweight, a jiu-jitsu guru, and he took him down, neutralized his jiu-jitsu, and he did drop quite a few punches on him while he was on the ground. So if you're able to ground Yamauchi and not be in any danger really in terms on the ground, Yamauchi did have a moment there on the feet, but Chandler has a decent chin. Outside of that weird Brooks thing, like Chandler can take some abuse. Brandon Girtz. It's funny because in the interview with Chandler to me said, Brandon Girtz is basically a shorter version of Derek Campos. And I can't agree more. And those guys had crazy wars. But Girtz is a stocky wrestle brawler. And no one is taking down Michael Chandler. So then Girtz is kind of left in this one-dimensional role as a brawler. And like coming out there and brawling with Michael Chandler, I don't like your odds, no matter who you are. Like, for one, Chandler has gotten a lot smarter, I think, or more reserved. He's not just as willing to stand in the pocket and trade with you. He will put you on your back. So I feel like Chandler just has so many more tools to rely on, whereas Girtz is basically like, okay, I need to connect this overhand right or this winging left hook, and that's basically it. Girtz doesn't really have a kicking threat. He's not kicking the leg. He's not doing high kicks. He's going to come out and try to throw an overhand right and a left hook, or maybe a left hook and then an overhand right. But outside of that, I just can't see. I can't see more facets to Girtz's game that can get him to win here. So, I mean, it's a real easy pick for me to select Chandler. And after this, he pretty much cleaned out the entire division. He's got nothing but Brent Premise, who was originally supposed to be in this fight, but he had to withdraw from an injury. And outside of that, I mean, he might be on his way to the UFC, honestly. So, yeah, Chandler, I think he's going to get the finish by rear naked choke. So, Michael Chandler, club and sub.
All right. Odds on the bout. You heard it here first. Chandler on his way to the UFC. Reported.
Well, another reason why I said that is, so Chandler is up soon for contract negotiations, right? Mm-hmm. So we put the Bloody Elbow article on him on Twitter, and guess who commented on it? UFC matchmaker Mick Maynard.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Uncle Mick getting messy here.
Yeah. That definitely intrigued me a bit. It's like, I see what you're doing there, Mick.
Yeah, that would be an interesting free agency if they.
Yeah, but Chandler's gonna command a pretty healthy salary, and Dana just said they're not that rich.
Yeah, but him versus Gaethje, oh my goodness! Ooh,
get that Alvarez rematch right front and center.
There you go.
There's so much money to be had with that. Dana knows where to throw his money.
Yeah,
like, we're not rich for Ray Borg.
Yeah, he'll throw the money, just not at the fucking fighters. But yeah, sure.
Well, very select fighters.
Chandler is a ridiculous favorite in this fight. Opened at -900, adjusted up to -585, and it's back down to -684. And Girtz opening at +500, adjusting down to +400, and back up now to +460. So,
are there any props for that?
No props at the moment.
Yeah, straight up, that's not a good look on either side. I mean, if you're a degenerate and you want to put some on Girtz, fine. But I challenge you to present me with an argument that's logical, that tells me how Girtz is going to win this, outside of puncher's chance.
All right. Well, I'm not going to try. So on that note, you can find me on Twitter at TheZaneSimon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at TheEddieMercado. You can find Vic on Twitter at VicMRodriguez. You can find all three of us over at BloodyElbow.com, and Vic on what, commentary, right?
No, we're doing social media. We're doing digital right now for Combate Americas here in LA. Yeah. That'll be on Friday. Prelims will be online, and Univision will have the main card.
Okay. Yeah, no. Not commentary. Whatever. I got lost.
That's okay.
I don't watch a lot of
all our shows.
Yeah. And then we've got our shows. We'll have 6th round after UFC on Fox 29. We'll have If I Did It and Heavy Hands and 6th round. Well, I don't know if you're doing 6th round retro right now.
Maybe it depends. Maybe Monday. Maybe not.
Okay. Eddie might do 6th round retro. We'll have MMA Circus, all the other stuff we do week in, week out. We'll be back next week for UFC in Atlantic City. And I don't know, maybe if there's another, see, what's our next Bellator card? It's probably not next week.
No, it's not. We're going to skip.
2 weeks from now, actually. Okay. It's going to be the Saturday Fedor versus Frank Mir card.
So we three will be back for that. Bellator 198, Fedor versus Mir. Until then, give us a like, subscribe.
Thumbs up. Do it.
All that. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you next time.